The rifle was already up, not wavering, not shaking, locked on Samuel's chest like it had been there his whole life. Full daylight washed the airport terminal sidewalk in clean, cruel brightness. The concrete looked pale and innocent. The shadows were sharp. Everything was too clear, too visible for what was happening. The ICE agent's boots were spread wide, knees bent, shoulders forward. Helmet, plate carrier, gloves, radio. The word ICE stamped bright on his chest like a warning label. "Hands up," the agent said. His voice was tight, controlled, like he was trying not to show something. Now, Samuel stood 10 feet away, black, mid-40s, thin but steady, a worn jacket over a faded hoodie, beard rough, eyes tired, face calm. His hands hung at his sides like they belonged to someone who didn't need permission to exist. He didn't flinch. Behind Samuel, a ring of people had formed without anyone deciding to. Travelers, drivers, a few airport workers on break. Phones were already raised, faces tense, some mouths open like they'd forgotten how to close. A paper cup lay tipped on its side near Samuel's boots. Coins scattered in a small, ugly constellation. 1 quarter glinted in the sun like it was proud of itself. A woman, Is he gonna shoot him? A man, "Put the gun down!" The agent snapped his head toward the crowd. "Back up! This is federal! Federal doesn't mean you can kill him!" Someone back. Samuel's eyes never left the agent. "You don't have to do this," Samuel said. He didn't raise his voice. He didn't beg. "You don't have to make this the thing you carry forever." The agent, the barrel dipped a fraction, then rose again, tighter. "I said, hands up." Samuel's jaw worked once, like he was biting down on a memory. Then he spoke again. "I've had weapons pointed at me before," he said. "Different uniform, same fear." The agent's nostrils flared. "You don't know what you're talking about." Samuel nodded once. "I know exactly what I'm talking about." The crowd pressed in, but no one crossed the invisible line. They didn't want to be the reason a finger twitched. Sirens were distant, far enough to be useless, close enough to promise something was coming. Samuel glanced down at the coins, then back up. "You already took my money," he said. "That wasn't enough?" The agent's voice hardened. "You're refusing a lawful order." Samuel's eyes narrowed, steady as steel. "No," he said. "I'm refusing to be humiliated." A phone camera zoomed in. Another. Someone's hand shook so badly the screen blurred. The agent's finger shifted. Everyone saw it. And that's when Samuel finally spoke the line that made the whole crowd go still. "If you pull that trigger," Samuel said, "the whole country's gonna know what you really are." The agent's face twisted. "Shut up!" Samuel didn't, but he also didn't move. It had started like nothing. Samuel had been sitting near the terminal entrance since morning, back against a column where the shade held a little longer. Not begging loudly, not bothering anyone, just existing where people hated to see him. His sign was simple, written in block letters. Hungry. Veteran. Any help matters. Most eyes slid past him like he was a stain. Samuel was used to that. He didn't always look like this. He used to have a uniform that fit, boots that held shape, a paycheck that made his kids believe he could fix anything. He'd enlisted at 19, not for glory, for a way out of a life where his mother worked herself into the ground. 10 years of deployments changed the weight of his silence. He came home with a body that still reacted to noises that weren't threats, with a mind that ran war movies at night, with a smile that stopped reaching his eyes. He got married. He tried hard. Then life hit him with grief he couldn't out-train, and a system that didn't know what to do with a man who could survive gunfire, but not loneliness. Now he sat near a terminal, watching families hug goodbye like it wasn't the most painful thing in the world. A few people dropped coins into his cup. A woman offered half a sandwich. Samuel said thank you, twice. Then the shadow fell over him. Boots, tactical pants, the edge of a vest, a badge. Samuel looked up. The ICE agent's eyes were scanning him like inventory. "Stand up," the agent said. Samuel blinked. "Morning to you too." "Stand up." Samuel pushed himself up slowly, joints stiff from cold nights. "What's this about?" The agent's gaze snapped to the sign. "Veteran, huh?" Yes. Papers. Samuel frowned. Papers for what? Don't play dumb. Samuel stayed calm. I'm not playing anything. You're asking me for papers like I'm in a different country. The agent stepped closer. He smelled like cologne and authority. I'm asking you because you fit a description, he said. Samuel's eyes sharpened. Description of what? A poor black man standing near an airport? The agent's lips curled. You said it, not me. Samuel stared him down. I'm a citizen, born in Louisiana. Then prove it. Samuel tapped the dog tags under his hoodie. That's what I got. The agent laughed once, short and sharp. Dog tags don't mean anything. Anyone can buy those. Samuel's voice stayed even. If you want to run me, but don't talk to me like I'm trash. The agent glanced around. A couple people were watching. Not many yet. The world still hadn't decided Samuel was worth seeing. The agent leaned in. You people love to make this a scene, he said quietly. Samuel's eyes flashed. You people? The agent straightened. Where's your ID? Samuel exhaled. Gone, along with my wallet, along with half of what I owned. Convenient. Samuel's tone cooled. You're not here for papers. You're here because you saw someone you could push. The agent's face hardened. Careful. Samuel nodded. Yeah, I know. He'd seen that face in other uniforms. He'd learned what came next. The first shove wasn't loud. It didn't look dramatic, just the kind of casual cruelty people used when they wanted to see how far they could go. The agent stepped into Samuel's space. Hands where I can see them. Samuel lifted his hands halfway, palms open. Not surrender, not fear, just peace. There, Samuel said. We good? The agent's eyes stayed cold. You got a criminal record? Samuel gave a humorless laugh. I got a record of serving my country, if that counts. Answer the question. Samuel's jaw tightened. No. The agent looked him up and down. You sleeping out here? Sometimes. Panhandling outside a federal facility is… This isn't a federal facility, Samuel said. It's a sidewalk. The agent's voice rose. Don't argue law with me. Samuel's gaze didn't drop. Then don't abuse it with me. A few heads turned. A woman slowed her steps. A man paused with a suitcase, watching. The agent noticed. His shoulders squared like he was putting on a performance now. Last chance, he said. Show ID or you're coming with me. Samuel's voice went steady as stone. You don't have a reason. The agent smiled without warmth. I don't need one. Samuel felt something in his chest, old and bitter. The memory of being powerless. The memory of watching people get pushed because they couldn't push back. Don't do this, Samuel said quietly. The agent stepped closer, lowering his voice like a threat. You think I'm scared of you? Samuel shook his head. No, I think you're scared of yourself. That hit. The agent's face tightened and his hand moved, not to a radio, not to a notebook, straight to Samuel's cup. He kicked it. Coins exploded across the concrete, skipping and spinning in the sunlight. A few people gasped. A phone came up instantly, recording. Samuel's eyes dropped to the coins for a heartbeat, then back up. The agent pointed down. Pick it up. Samuel stared at him. Excuse me? Pick it up, the agent repeated. Louder, for the crowd. Samuel's voice stayed controlled, but it sharpened. You just kicked my money. Pick it up. Samuel's hands trembled, not from fear, from restraint. You want me on my knees. The agent's eyes glittered. I want you compliant. Samuel's face hardened. I buried my wife with these hands. I carried wounded soldiers with these hands. I won't crawl for you. The crowd thickened. More people stopped. More phones rose. Someone whispered, This is insane. The agent looked around at the cameras. Just a flicker. Then he snapped back to Samuel, embarrassed by being watched, angry at being cornered by his own behavior. You're resisting, he said. Samuel's voice dropped. You're humiliating. The agent grabbed Samuel's jacket at the collar and yanked. Samuel stumbled, but caught himself. Didn't swing, didn't shove back, just steadied. Let go of me, Samuel said, low. The agent shoved again. Or what? Samuel's eyes narrowed. Or you're going to do something you can't take back. The agent's face twisted. You don't tell me what I can take back. And that's when Samuel realized the agent had crossed the line inside himself already. The rest was just logistics. The agent reached for cuffs. The metal flashed in the sun like a decision. Samuel looked at the cuffs, then at the agent. "You're really doing this? You're detained," the agent said. "For what?" Samuel demanded, louder now. "For standing? For being black? For being poor?" "Stop talking," the agent snapped. "Turn around." Samuel didn't move. "Give me a reason." The agent's jaw worked. His eyes darted to the phones. He needed something, anything that sounded official enough to cover what he was doing. "You fit the description," he repeated. Samuel took a step forward, slow, deliberate, not aggressive. "Say it. Say what description?" The agent lifted the cuffs. "Turn around." Samuel's voice cut through. "What description? A man without money? A man without a house? A man you can bully?" The crowd murmured. Someone shouted, "He's right!" A woman yelled, "Leave him alone!" The agent's face went red. "Back up!" he screamed at the crowd. A man in a hoodie raised his phone higher. "Everybody's already backed up. You're the one wildin'." The agent turned back to Samuel, breathing harder. "Hands behind your back," the agent ordered. Samuel's voice went flat. "No." The word landed like a slap. The agent blinked. "What did you say?" Samuel didn't raise his hands. He didn't lower his eyes. "I said no. You don't get to cuff me for existing. You're resisting a lawful—" "You keep saying lawful, like it's a magic spell," Samuel snapped. "Lawful doesn't mean right." The agent lunged forward to grab Samuel's arm. Samuel twisted away. Not a punch, not a strike, just refusal. The agent stumbled, caught himself, and his embarrassment turned into something worse. Rage. "Now you did it," he hissed. Samuel's voice was hard. "You did it, the moment you kicked my cup." The agent's hand went to his vest. The crowd froze. Phones zoomed in. Samuel's eyes widened, not with fear, but with recognition. He knew that movement. The moment a man decided the only way to win was to escalate. "Don't," Samuel said. The agent pulled the rifle up from its sling in one fast motion. Gasps ripped through the crowd. "Holy! He pulled a gun! Call 911!" The AR-15 came up and leveled, and Samuel stood there, hands still at his sides. The agent's voice shook with adrenaline. "Hands up! Now!" Samuel looked at him, steady as a wall. "So this is what you wanted." "Hands up!" Samuel's voice dropped, calm and deadly serious. "You want me on my knees. You want me small." The agent aimed higher, barrel dead on. "Do it!" Samuel didn't. "I've seen men pull guns when they run out of words," Samuel said. "That's what you are right now." The agent's eyes were wild. "Shut up!" Samuel's breathing stayed slow. "You still got time. Put it down." The agent's finger tightened on the trigger guard. The crowd's noise blurred into one terrified hum. Samuel spoke one more time, and it was quiet enough that it felt like it was meant only for the agent. "If you pull that trigger," Samuel said, "you're gonna have to live with who you really are." The agent's lips trembled. Sirens screamed closer, and for the first time, the agent looked unsure. Police cars arrived like they were thrown onto the street. Tires shrieked. Doors slammed. Voices shouted commands that were sharper than knives. "Drop the weapon!" a sergeant roared. The ICE agent flinched, rifle still aimed at Samuel. The police spread out in a semicircle, weapons drawn, eyes locked on the agent. "Sir!" the sergeant shouted again. "Drop it! Now!" The agent's head snapped between the police and Samuel like he couldn't decide which one he hated more. "This is federal jurisdiction!" he yelled. The sergeant's voice didn't change. "This is a public sidewalk, and you're aiming a rifle at an unarmed man. Drop it." The crowd surged, kept behind by officers. Phones were everywhere now. Dozens, maybe more. The moment was no longer contained. It was already escaping into the world. Samuel stood still, jacket hanging open, face calm, mouth cut. He didn't look at the police. He didn't look at the crowd. He looked only at the agent. The agent's voice cracked. "He resisted." Samuel's eyes narrowed. "I resisted being humiliated." "Shut up!" the agent screamed. At Samuel, not the police. The sergeant took one step closer. "Last warning." The agent's arms shook now. Not from weakness. Too much adrenaline. Too much attention. Too much exposure. Samuel spoke softly, like he was talking a man off a ledge. "Put it down," Samuel said. "You're not going to win this." The agent's eyes flicked to the phones again. That was it. That was the crack. He lowered the rifle, just an inch. The sergeant moved instantly. 2 officers rushed him, one grabbing the rifle, another slamming him into the pavement. The rifle clattered on concrete. Cuffs clicked. The crowd exploded in a roar, half relief, half rage. Samuel finally exhaled, shoulders dropping a fraction. He blinked hard, as if the sunlight suddenly hurt. An officer hurried to him. "Sir, are you injured?" Samuel touched his lip. Nothing new. The officer looked at the spilled coins, the tipped cup, the shaken crowd. He swallowed. "I'm sorry," he said. Samuel nodded once. "I know." Another officer knelt and picked up the coins, every last one, placing them back in the cup like they mattered, because they did. The agent on the ground thrashed and yelled, "You don't know who I am! You don't know what you're doing!" The sergeant leaned down, voice cold. "We know exactly what you did." They dragged him toward a cruiser. Samuel watched him go, not with triumph, not with hatred, just with the tired certainty of a man who's seen power misuse itself before. And then a woman in the crowd started crying, not loud, quiet, shaking sobs. Samuel turned his head slightly. She said, "I'm sorry they treated you like that." Samuel's voice came out hoarse. "They didn't treat me like that," he said. "He did." The video detonated. Within hours, it was everywhere. News, social media, podcasts, talk shows. People argued over it, like arguing could change what the camera showed. But the camera didn't care about opinions. It showed the cup being kicked, the coins scattering, the cuffs coming out, the rifle coming up. And it showed Samuel standing still. The ICE agent's name came out 2 days later. Evan Cole. Internal investigations opened fast. Suspension followed. Then termination. Then charges. Evan's lawyer went on TV with practiced calm. "My client felt threatened," he said. Threatened by what? An unarmed man with a paper cup? Prosecutors didn't let the story drift. They played the footage frame by frame. They pulled witness statements. They subpoenaed body cam audio. They built a timeline that didn't rely on feelings, only facts. Samuel was offered interviews, big money, big platforms. He refused most of them. He accepted one because Robert Lane, the nonprofit director who found him after the incident, said something that hit. If you don't speak, they'll speak for you. So Samuel sat in a clean, borrowed shirt in a small studio and told the truth without decoration. "I wasn't trying to be a hero," Samuel said. "I was trying to be a human being." When asked why he didn't raise his hands, Samuel answered simply, "Because he wanted me afraid, and I've given fear enough years." The court date came. Samuel walked into the courtroom with Robert beside him, not as a savior, but as a steady presence. Samuel wore a simple suit that didn't fit perfectly. His hands were still rough, his eyes were still tired. Evan Cole stood at the defense table, clean haircut, legal team, posture stiff with entitlement. When Samuel took the stand, the courtroom went quiet. The prosecutor asked, "What did the defendants say to you?" Samuel's voice was clear. He said, "Papers." "And what did you say?" Samuel didn't look away from Evan. "I said I was born in Louisiana. I said I'm a veteran." "And then?" Samuel's jaw tightened. "Then he kicked my cup and told me to pick it up, like a dog." A murmur moved through the courtroom. Evan's lawyer stood. "Objection!" "Overruled," the judge said. Samuel continued. "Then he tried to cuff me, and when I refused, he pulled his rifle." The prosecutor asked, "Were you armed?" "No." "Did you threaten him?" "No." "What did you do when the rifle was pointed at you?" Samuel swallowed once. "I stood there." "Why?" Samuel's voice didn't shake. "Because if I begged, he would have enjoyed it. And because I knew, if he did what he looked like he wanted to do, the whole world needed to see what that really was." The prosecutor nodded slowly. "How did you feel?" Samuel paused. Then, "I felt familiar, like I'd been there before, like power was trying to erase me." Evan's lawyer tried to paint Samuel as defiant, as provoking. Samuel didn't argue. He just answered plainly. When the defense asked, "You refused commands, correct?" Samuel looked at the lawyer. "I refused humiliation." The judge's eyes sharpened. The trial ended with a conviction on multiple charges tied to aggravated misconduct and assault-related offenses, because the story wasn't about politics in the courtroom. It was about a man with a gun abusing a man without one. When sentencing came, Samuel returned. Evan stood to speak, face tight. "I was doing my job," he said. The judge didn't blink. "Your job isn't cruelty." The sentence landed heavy. Outside the courthouse, reporters rushed Samuel again. "Do you feel justice was served?" Samuel stood in sunlight that felt different now. He said, "Justice isn't a victory lap. It's a boundary." That night, Samuel went back to his small room arranged through veterans' services. He sat on the edge of his bed and stared at his hands. For the first time in years, he didn't feel invisible. Not because he was famous, because the world had been forced just once to look at him and admit he was real, he was human, and he would not be made small.